Okay, so I'm gonna start this sew along for my new Know Me pattern. It's for fall, it's ME2099, and it's a mommy and me pattern. So it has a little girl's pattern, which I also think would be super cute for little boys. So the children's sizes come in small, medium, and large. So it starts at 3 and then it goes up to size 8. And then the misses comes in sizes 8 to 22, so small, medium, large, and extra large. So let's open it up and get all the instructions. So there's a closer look at the line drawing. So it has pockets. The pockets are really nice because it has this flat pocket. And then also there's 2 pockets on the side that you can put your hand into. And then on the bottom, you can adjust it by tightening it. It cinches up in the back. And then there's wrist tabs. There's cording at the neckline and a hood. And you can make this out of a lot of different fabrics. The one on my packaging is ripstop. So it's cotton ripstop. And I dyed the pink. I just bought the white and then I dyed the pink, and the inside is lined with a cotton. And so, but you can also make it out of, like this one I'm going to be making out of, it's almost like a minky or fleece. And it's like the Juicy Couture line from Joann's. But you can also make it out of nylon and make it like a waterproof jacket, or you could do a lot of things, maybe a jean jacket and a furry jacket. Yeah, so you can use your creativity for the fabric. But let's go ahead and open this up. Here are all the pieces. You'll just want to be sure to, like I said, cut out the contrast pieces and then also the interfacing. And let's go ahead and start with the first step, which should be, we're going to iron on the interfacing to pieces 5, 10, and 13. So I will go do that and then be right back, and we will start with step 2. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention is some of the notions you'll need. You'll need a zipper, a separating zipper, and then grommets and barrel stoppers, elastic cording, and hook and loop tape, and heavy duty pronged snaps. So you can find all that on the pattern cover or at the back of it. So let's move on to the first step, or the second step. You're going to turn under 3/8 inch on the long edges of front trim and press. So that is this piece. It's this contrasting white line right there. So you're going to press under the edges 3/8 inch, so that when you put it onto the front, you can just top stitch it down. So let me grab those pieces. So that is these 2 pieces. So we're going to go press it 3/8 inch on both sides like that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I pressed the long edges in, and now I'm going to grab the yoke fronts so we can top stitch it down. Okay, so if we see, the top stitching will be right there, or the placement line. Okay. Okay, so I have both of those pinned onto the yoke, and now I'm going to go stitch it down, top stitch along each long edge, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're going to pin the upper yoke to the front. So we're just going to put it right sides together like that, and then you'll sew at 5/8 inch. Okay, so we'll go sew this at 5/8 inch on both sides, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I stitched the yoke to the upper front of the front piece on both sides. And we're gonna set these aside for now and work on the pocket. Okay, so once you reinforce those dots, you're going to clip in just into the seam allowance ending at the dot. So you'll clip in 5/8 inch. And then once you clip that in, we're gonna do a narrow hem. And we're gonna do a narrow hem to the inside. And it'll look like this once we're done. So let me reinforce right here. And then we will clip into it and I will show you how we do that. All right, so you can see that I've reinforced right there. And now I'm gonna place two, or let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna cut two at a time just so they're in the same exact spot. Here. And I'm just gonna clip in, not past the reinforced line. And I'll just clip in like that. And like that. Okay, so now that you have it clipped, we're gonna do a narrow hem on just the pocket piece. So there's 4 pieces on the facing. We're just gonna, where we clipped it, we're just gonna fold it in and press it. So for the main piece, for the main pocket, we're gonna stitch that down and we're gonna do that on both sides. And then I'll do that and be right back. Okay, so I've done the narrow hem and stitched it down. So you should have 2 like this, and then 2 just pressed under by 5/8 inch, like that. And now we are going to sew the pocket together with the facing. So with right sides up, pinned facing to outer pocket, matching large and small dots, having raw edges even, stitch side seams, edges leaving open between large dots and shorter side. Okay, so for this, we're gonna put the pocket front and the facing together, and we're gonna sew this edge, and then we're gonna sew this edge, but we're gonna just sew from here to here and then here, and you're gonna leave this open because that's gonna be a pocket. So you'll put the pocket facing and the pocket together. And we're gonna sew right there and then this edge at 5/8 inch. And I'll do that for both pieces and be right back. Okay, so here's how it looks after you sew the sides, and I left this part open. So now we'll turn it right side out. So it looks like this, and you have a pocket right here. There's a hole. And then we're gonna fold the top down by 5/8 inch, and then we're going to attach it to the jacket. So I will go baste both top and bottom edges, and then we'll attach it. Okay, so I've pressed the upper edge under, and now we're gonna sew it on the front of the jacket. Okay, so for the pocket, you should have 2 markings where you're going to place the top edge of the pocket. There should be 2 dots. So you're going to pin it and match it up with the dots. Okay, so once you have both pockets pinned, we're gonna go top stitch the pocket down, and we're gonna top stitch along this edge, and then on this edge just the same spots that we sewed it to keep the pocket open, so just right there. So I will go sew both pockets on, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I've sewn both pockets on, and you can see that now it has 2 pockets on the side. There's one right here, and then there's another in there, and the top also. So it has 3 spots. Now we're gonna sew the flap so that goes on above it. So you should have 4 pieces for the flap. 2 of them have interfacing. Okay, so once you have them right sides together, we're going to sew down from the top over the bottom and then back up to the top. And then we'll leave the top open and we'll flip it right side out, and then you're gonna fold that side, and that's where you'll top stitch it down. So I will go sew both of these flaps, and then we'll trim them and turn them right side out, and then we'll attach them to the jacket. Okay, so now that I've sewn it and I've left the top open, you're gonna turn it right sides out. Okay, so I have both turned right side out. I'm gonna go press it, and then we're gonna top stitch along the edge and then baste the raw edge closed. Okay, now that I've top stitched the flap, we're going to attach it to the top of the jacket, or sorry, the pocket. So you should also have marks on the jacket where you're going to place this. And then you'll just want to line it up and make sure when you fold it over, it lines up nicely. So basically you can top stitch right above where the pocket ends. Just make sure you don't catch this. And so I'm going to go stitch this at 5/8 inch right along there. And then we'll press it down like that. So I'll do that for both sides, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I attached the flap and then I top stitched it down after I pressed it. And this is what it looks like with the pockets on. So you have this pocket, this inside pocket, and then another inside pocket. So let's move on to the next step. And that will be, we're gonna start with the back. We're gonna be doing these contrast lines for the back piece. So I'll set these aside. And then, so for this one, we're gonna need to, so we'll reinforce the corners just like we did with the pocket on the top and bottom of the V right here. And then you're gonna clip it in 5/8 inch so that you can fold it in like that. So I will clip it, and then I will go press the ends, or sorry, the edges in, and then we will attach it to the back of the yoke. Okay, so I've pressed this. And then again, you should have marks where to align it. And then we're going to top stitch it along the top and the bottom. So I'll pin this, top stitch this down, and then we'll attach the yoke to the back piece. Okay, so I've sewn the contrast piece onto the yoke, and now we're going to attach it to the bottom. So you'll want to reinforce this corner, and then we're also going to clip down 5/8 inch. And then we will sew it along like that, and then flip it and sew it like that. So I will attach it, and then we'll move on to attaching the front and the back. Okay, so I've attached the yoke to the back, and now we're going to attach the back to the front at the shoulder seams. Grabbing the front pieces, we'll put it right sides together. And when you pin this, just make sure you pin at the seam so that it all matches up nicely. So, okay, so once you have both shoulder seams pinned, we're gonna go sew that at 5/8 inch on both sides, and then we're gonna stay stitch the neck edge. So you're just gonna do a line of stitching all along the edge of the neckline. So I'll do that, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so now we're going to sew the hood, and you're going to stay stitch the edges of the hood centerpiece, and then we are going to sew, sorry, my dog needs to go to the bathroom, but really quick, we will sew the hood, this piece, and we're going to sew it like that, right sides together. And then once you stitch that together, we're going to take this piece, right sides together, and stitch it to the center. So I will stitch the both hood pieces and the center piece together, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I've sewn the hood to the center piece, and I've done the same for the facing, which is the same fabric. And now we're gonna pin, or no, actually we're gonna do the eyelets on the main hood, not the facing. So you'll have a marking, and we're just going to attach some eyelets for the cording to go through. I have my eyelet, and oh, so actually I'm gonna put it in this. But now we're going to attach it to the jacket. So with right sides together, we're going to pin the hood to the jacket, and then we'll sew it at 5/8 inch. Okay, so I have the pin or the hood pinned on, and now we're going to sew it at 5/8 inch. Okay, now we're going to sew the sleeve tabs. So you should have two that are in have interfacing on them, and we're going to put them right sides together with the two that don't have interfacing. And now we're going to go sew them from this edge, so the wider edge, 5/8 inch all the way to the edge, down, and then back. And you'll leave this side open. You're going to sew both of them with a 5/8 inch seam allowance, and then we will turn them right sides out and top stitch them. Okay, so I've finished the sleeve tabs, and now we're going to attach them to the sleeve. I do not have hook and loop tape, so I'm going to finish this after, but you're going to sew the hook and loop tape onto the inside of the tab, and then it also goes on the sleeve so that you can tighten the sleeve if you want. So yeah, don't skip that step, but I just couldn't find any at Joann's, so I'm going to move on to the next step and attach it to the sleeve. So you're going to attach it to the side of the sleeve with one marking. The other side has two. So that's this side. And then the curved top goes at the top. And then you can see I have two markings on the sleeve, and I'm just going to put that there. And then we're going to baste it in place, baste right there. We're going to attach this sleeve to the jacket. So I will go sew this in place, and then we will move on. So I will pin the sleeve to the jacket, and then I will go sew it at 5/8 inch. Okay, I've sewn in both of the sleeves. And now I think we're going to sew the side seams. Yeah, so okay, so now we're gonna sew the sleeves, and we're gonna put this, fold the sleeve in half, right sides together. And then we're gonna sew from the edge of the sleeve all the way down to the bottom of the jacket on the side seam. So we'll sew like this at 5/8 inch, and we'll do that on both sides. Okay, so I shortened the other zipper. I had too much on accident, so I'm using this one. When you shorten it, you just want to make sure you put the stoppers right below the dot, but then the zipper goes to the top so that you can sew it in like that. So now I will separate each side of the zipper. And then we're gonna sew it to the edge, and you'll start from 3/4 inch from the bottom. So I'll just pin this, and then I'll pin it all the way up, and then using my zipper foot, I'll sew all the way down. And I will do that with both sides, and then we will work on the lining. Okay, so I've sewn the zipper in, and now we're gonna move to the lining. Okay, so we're gonna sew the yokes to the front and back. So we'll do it the same as we did the front, where you're gonna snip it, and then we'll sew that down. And then the front, I actually just cut in one piece. I just put the pattern pieces together. But if you didn't do that, you'll sew the yoke to both of these pieces. So I will do that and then be right back. Okay, so now that I've sewn the yoke on, we're gonna sew the front to the back at the shoulder seams, just like we did with the main fabric. And then so we'll sew the shoulders at 5/8 inch, and then we're gonna sew the sleeves in flat again, where you'll open up and sew the sleeves. It's the exact same step as the main fabric. So I will do both those steps, and then we'll move on. Okay, so I have the lining sewn together, and one thing you need to do, you can do this before you sew the sleeve or after, is just trim off 1 inch from the bottom. Okay, so I used the same fabric as the main for the lining of the hood. So I will just pin this all along like I did on the main, and then I will go sew that, and we will come back and attach the lining to the jacket. Okay, so now that I have the hood sewn on the lining, we're going to attach the lining and the main jacket. So I'm just going to pull the sleeves inside on both pieces to make it easier. And then we're going to, with right sides together, pin them together. Okay, so we'll pin all the way up the center front down to the hood, and then also the bottom. And then we're going to sew all the way along, and you're going to want to use a zipper foot on the center front. So I will pin all this together. And make sure you match up the seams. Now I'll go sew all along the bottom, the hood, and the front, and make sure to use a zipper foot at the center front. Okay, so I've sewn the lining to the main, and now we're going to flip it right side out. Okay, and then you can put the sleeves in through the sleeve, and we are almost done. Okay, so once you have it turned right side out, go press it. I'm gonna go press the bottom and then the hood. And then we will move on to finishing the sleeves. Okay, so I pressed the bottom and then the hood. Okay, so you should have a hole left in the lining. I forgot to leave mine open. So I'm just gonna unpick a little hole in the side, and this is how we're gonna sew the sleeves. We're gonna pull the sleeves through the opening. So here's one. Here's the other side. Right sides together. Make sure you don't twist it, so I will pin it right sides together. And then you're just gonna go all the way around the sleeve at 5/8 inch. And then when we pull it through, we'll put the sleeve inside we'll put the sleeves inside each other, and then it will be hemmed. So I will do that with both sleeves and then show you how it looks. Okay, so I'll go to the outside and just pull the sleeve out. And you can see that it's attached at the lining. So, and then you'll just want to press that. And we are almost done. So now we're gonna form the lower casing on the bottom for the elastic. So I'm just gonna stitch at 1 inch from the bottom, and make sure you keep the elastic inside the 1 inch and don't catch it in the seam. So I will go sew 1 inch from the bottom, and then we will move on to the placket. Okay, so I've sewn the bottom, and you can see when you tighten it, it gets cinched up. It's looking super cute. Now we're gonna move on to the placket. Okay, so now we're gonna apply the snaps to the placket, and you should already have your interfacing and marks where the snaps go. Now we're going to apply the ball side. So this one, oops. So it's kind of like a nipple. We're gonna apply the ball side to the right side of the fabric. So using my snap tool, gonna put one side in and then the other side in with the nipple side down. And then you will go to the marks you left and apply it. So there's one. Okay, and our last one. Okay, and then we're gonna fold the placket right sides together. And then we're gonna stitch the ends. So down here, and then we'll trim it and we'll turn it right sides out. Okay, so I've sewn the ends and trimmed them, and now we're gonna turn it right sides out. I'm gonna okay. And then we will go press it, and then we'll baste the raw edge closed, and then we will top stitch it. We'll edge stitch along the finished edge. So I will go press it, baste it, and top stitch along the edge. Okay, so I finished the placket. Now we're gonna sew it onto the jacket. So with the snaps facing up, we're gonna pin the placket. And you should have a placement line, and it'll be just a little away from the zipper. So we'll pin that on. And we'll pin it all the way down. And then we're gonna sew it along the placement line. So we'll sew it to the jacket, and then we will trim the edge and top stitch it over. So I will go sew that, and then we will apply the snaps onto this side and finish up the jacket. Okay, so I've sewn on the placket. Now we're gonna trim this seam allowance to 1/4 inch. Just be careful not to catch the main. And then we're gonna turn it over, and we will top stitch the placket down, all the way down. So I'll do that, and then we will finish up. Okay, so I've top stitched the placket. It's looking really good. And now we're going to apply the snaps, the other end of the snap that doesn't have the ball, to the jacket. So might want to zip it up and just make sure it all aligns, and then you should have marks, but I didn't actually mark mine, so I'm going to do mine right now. So okay. Sorry, I keep shaking the camera. I'm just gonna okay. So I'll unzip it, and then I will get the other side of the snaps. Ladder. Let's see. Okay, one snap. Okay, our last snap. All right. So now all the snaps are on. You can just test them out. And it's looking so cute. And now we're gonna sew the casing for the cording that goes in the neck, or sorry, the hood. So we will just stitch from the edge 1 inch from the edge of the hood, and we'll do that all the way around, starting where the placket ends. So I will go stitch that and be right back. Okay, so I've sewn the casing around the hood, and now you're just gonna thread some cording through the hood, and then you're gonna put more barrel stoppers. So you're gonna do it the same as you did on the bottom. I forgot to get 4 barrel stoppers, so I'm gonna do this later. But that is basically it. We are finished. So I will, I'll take some pictures of it and show you how it looks on my little mannequin. And that is it. It's super cute. I love it. I hope you guys will love it and your kids. And make sure to tag me on Instagram, and I can't wait to see all of them.